Okay, good morning. It is exactly 11 a.m. We are here, the Urban Chamber of Commerce Healthcare Roundtable, where our slogan is "Our Health, Our Business." We like to bridge the gap between small business owners and entrepreneurs in the healthcare space, and just consider those things that we typically don't talk about as business owners. And so I'm going to introduce myself. We are 2/4 of the Dynamic Healthcare Roundtable Committee. I am Lauren B. Parker. I'm a family nurse practitioner and integrative health coach and the CEO of NDO Wellness. I help exhausted executives and entrepreneurs fight fatigue naturally so that you can maximize your time and your money. I do that through IV hydration, vitamin therapy, health coaching, and corporate wellness consulting. So I will hand it over to my lovely co-host today, Janice Wiggins.
Hello there. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Lauren. As Lauren stated, I am 2/4 of the Healthcare Roundtable co-host. Again, my name is Janice Wiggins, and I am the founder and owner of Grant Me Success. Grant Me Success is a consulting and grant writing firm that assists small businesses and nonprofit organizations find funding to continue their organization's missions and programs. So today we have here with us two wonderful guests. Our first guest is Miss Rhea Watson, also known as the Scholarship Doctor. She is the founder and CEO of Scholarship Solutions, a premier college and scholarship consulting firm located in Las Vegas, Nevada, but I know that she travels nationally as well as internationally to share the awesome information about how to get students in and through college for free. That's right. So Rhea has assisted hundreds of students to earn more than $200 million in scholarships to continue their education through proven prescriptions, products, and programs and presentations. She assists students all the way from birth, from the womb, all the way up to 99. And I'm sure you can push that envelope, Rhea, up to 100 and whatever if needed. Rhea is a two-time #1 best-selling author as well, and she's going to share more information about her two books with you here as we go through our conversation. I'd also like to share that I am one of Scholarship Solutions students. I thank you so much. I connected with Rhea. She has helped me to win and obtain scholarships to continue my doctorate degree. And so I'm happy to have her here to share the wonderful information that she has helped me personally with. So thank you so much, Rhea, for being here. We have a second guest here with us today, Mr. Kevin Rayford. I'm going to throw it over to Lauren to give his introduction.
Yes, so we are so happy to have these two individuals with us. I'm going to introduce Mr. Rayford. He teaches at the College of Southern Nevada in the areas of management, marketing, and accounting. In 2012 and 2013, he was named one of the top 5 professors by RateMyProfessors.com, the largest online destination for professor ratings. He is also the advisor for the CSN Entrepreneurship Incubator. Mr. Rayford is a graduate of the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania and received his graduate business degree from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. His professional career includes executive positions with Johnson & Johnson, Whole Foods, Snapple Beverages, and Hewlett-Packard. A native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Kevin currently resides in Las Vegas. He sees the enormous potential for global economic diversification based on the talented students emerging to change the world. When not working on business initiatives, Kevin enjoys traveling the globe with Emily and their 3 children. Is it Kian?
Kian. Mm-hmm.
Kian, Isabel, and Kai. Is that right?
Perfect. 10 out of 10.
Yes. So thank you so much for being here. I also want to acknowledge and thank all of our attendees that we have. So thank you guys for being here. If you are able to put any comments or questions that you have, you can use the Q&A button, and we will get to those throughout the conversation. So let's get started. So we'll go back to Miss Ria. So I just want to give you the opportunity, if there's anything else that you wanted to add, that you want to tell us about yourself and about your business, or if you want to start on your books, because I see a book back there. So I'm always interested, like, what is that? So if you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So, hey, y'all, thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. I'm super excited. I adore Mr. Rayford and everything that he's doing in CSN. So I feel super privileged to share this digital stage with him. And of course, Dr. Wiggins, I just speak that into your life, girl. She's almost there. It was our absolute pleasure and blessing to be able to help her on her route to PhD. And so, yeah, I have a few books, right? And we have used this resource specifically. It's the Scholarship Doctors in 5 Easy Steps to a Free Degree, to help students to earn over $200 million in scholarships. And so we are blessed to work with people. Janice talked about it, right? We do presentations. We absolutely have programs and the proven prescription, but literally it's all in here. And so it's not just a book, it's actually a workbook. So you see that? So see, yeah. So we tell you what to do, and then we fill the prescription. We actually go step by step. And so we have companies and organizations, colleges and universities, libraries and school districts across the nation that have adopted this as a curriculum and are implementing that at all educational levels so that students, no matter how young or young at heart, again, Dr. Wiggins talked about it, right? It's 0 to 99, womb to tomb, birth to death, cradle to college, can go to college debt free. So it's my joy, my privilege. And then I have another one. So I guess I should show y'all that too, because this was the first time that someone allowed me to tell the story in print without like laughing in my face or saying, no, that I could talk about going to college starting in kindergarten. She wouldn't let me do nursery school because I asked, but I could at least talk about it in kindergarten. And you know what? It's the same steps if they're in kindergarten, 8th grade, 12th grade, graduate school. It does not matter. And it is absolutely 100% possible for people to go to college debt-free starting in the womb. Well, outside the womb. We haven't found womb, but if they are 0 seconds or minutes old, we got them.
Yeah. So can you tell us, have you worked with any small businesses or entrepreneurs who, maybe looking to go back to school, looking to further their education, maybe pivoting into something else, and sometimes going from that mindset of being, a business owner, and then now you have to go back and kind of split your time and your priorities with going back to school, and obviously being in financial debt and, having to pay for school, that's difficult. So can you kind of touch on that and what clients you may have seen that were entrepreneurs or small business owners that you've helped in that way?
Well, besides our amazing 2/4 of our our hosts, right? I'm actually a walking example of that myself. And so I was in business, I graduated from college, and 2 weeks later, I started a grant development firm. So before I was working with individuals, I actually was working with nonprofits, and then decided that I think I want to become Dr. Rhea Michelle Watson. And so because of that, I had to go back to school and navigate just what you're saying, kind of stopping a career, a small business that I was running across the country, and hunker down and go to college. And it was actually the largest funded part of my education. So my doctoral program was paid in full. I did not pay one red dime for it. In fact, I got paid every single month to pursue a doctoral degree. And so yeah, it's possible for anyone at whatever stage in life they're at. And, I actually have pursued an additional Master's of Library Science degree. And again, that was paid and has been paid full. And I got a paycheck for that as well. I think that, if someone is looking to do that and they are entrepreneurs and maybe they want to see if there's another avenue or add something to make their business grow or to become stronger. To me, education is really just that. It is an avenue. It is a tunnel. It is a funnel. It is not an end all be all. I had this conversation yesterday, I think on TikTok, Instagram, and on Clubhouse, but at least on Clubhouse, that we have this unfortunate, in my opinion, I don't want to say culture, but maybe narrative that college isn't for everyone. I totally disagree with that. Everyone may not go to college, but I have never met a college that's not for someone. I mean, why would we say something like that college isn't for you? I mean, why wouldn't it be? It's like saying a car isn't for you. It's a vehicle, right? I completely disagree with that. Again, everyone may not want to go to college, but I haven't met a college that's not for someone. And so with that, if there's someone who's saying, maybe this is what I want to do for the first, second, third, or fourth time, do it and make sure you do it debt-free because there's scholarships available for it. So I know that was a little bit off your question, but I hope it was helpful.
No, I love that. And I appreciate you giving us that perspective. And so many times, I think I do the same thing. And what I do is sometimes it's about how you say it, but not what you say. But what you're saying, it is what you say, right? The language that we use to say that college is not for you. So I really appreciate you taking the time, to kind of give us your opinion on that. And that makes total sense. So I want to take it to Mr. Rayford and ask you about now that, we have Miss Ria on our team and we're getting, the funding and things like that. As an entrepreneur, what opportunities or resources does the College of Southern Nevada have for someone, for an entrepreneur, and then also one who may be, not only looking for resources from an entrepreneur's standpoint, but maybe wanting to further their education as well?
Well, great opportunity for me to be with all you young women and learn a lot. So a lot of things CSN does. The first thing too is CSN meets you where you are. So CSN even gives out free bus passes. So if you can't get to campus, we'll make sure we make it easy. And of course, we have even online classes and hybrid classes. So we're very accessible. And just to go back to what Ria was saying is that money is really important and being able to pay for college. And so just to tie in, one of the things we do at CSN is that I run pitch competitions and pitch teams. So we've won pitch competitions. We went to Silicon Valley. We've won Governor's Cup competitions where we competed against other schools inside of Nevada, as well as schools in Texas. I mean, like the most recent victory we had was in April when we won a pitch competition in Silicon Valley. CSN team came in first place. Second place was Cornell University, right? So we beat Cornell, we beat Berkeley, we beat USC, UT schools, Syracuse. And so we get very aggressive and we compete. And so I push my students really hard. There's no secret there. But in terms of that competition, people don't realize, like, especially in these urban areas, I say urban areas, but we grew up so entrepreneurially, like with our parents, with our uncles, our nanas, whoever it might be, whether they're selling cookies or selling hot dogs or just babysitting or walking dogs. But the key thing is that when I'm able to put that on paper, my students win these competitions all the time because they can think on their feet. Because a lot of times they get the pitch on your feet, they ask you questions, they throw you off, but they don't because they've been doing this their whole life. So what I'm trying to say is that CSN not only has opportunities for you to learn and get your degree, but to make money. And surprisingly, a lot of students don't think about pitch competition as how they fund their business. Well, I've had students who won over $100,000, and this is cash. I mean, and you can do what you want to do with it in these pitch competitions. And people just don't think that they can compete. And when they see people, especially people of color, they want to see more of that participation. And when they see that, they go, wow, this group brings a different dynamic to the table. And so we practice hard, we work hard. But the key thing people might have known is that I do run a team where we do pitch and we compete, and you can Google it or look it up, but it's important to realize if you have a business, be prepared to present. And so it's like, you see Shark Tank out there, those things exist all the time. And, you don't win every time, of course, but every time you compete, you've got a chance of winning, but that's good money and it's great networking.
Wow. Can I chime in with that? I actually just won a business pitch competition, and I have just saying it to the rooftops that you don't have to be a student to earn a scholarship. And I will mention opportunities like business pitch competitions. There's lots of them. There's poetry and art and what is a scholarship? Scholarship is free money from a college or business, nonprofit or for-profit, that doesn't have to be paid back. So if you can do that by promoting your business and your individual self and your truism, I mean, it's great. And I'm like excited to share it. It's not to be boastful in any way, but I banked $10,000 over telling people my story. And people can do that no matter what. And again, Mr. Rayford just shared that. I love it. And it's something that I've talked about. You don't even have to be a student to earn a scholarship. So why aren't we doing that more? I think sometimes it's lack of knowledge. Other times it can be absolutely lack of confidence, but when you have a great coach, right? Like someone like at CSN that can help you through that and mold you through that, it can be an amazing experience. So
yeah, but right, exactly. It's fun, and it ranges. People who are successful as you, they already have a business, and sometimes, like, and each competition is different. Some they want to see you've already had maybe $500,000 or maybe 30,000 in sales. Some of them, it's an idea competition where they just want to hear your great ideas. You know, you can win. I know we've got one going on CSN. It's the deadline is end of October, but it's $5,000 competitions where it's an idea competition. So you don't even have to have anything launched. It's just that if you've got a great idea, you can win $1,000. And when you get the $1,000, you don't even have to do your idea. It's just a competition. It's fun. So you can take that $1,000 and travel for all we care, but we just want to stimulate that mentality. But it's that kind of environment we try to cultivate at CSN. So people, like you said, like I feel the same way. I think entrepreneurship is for everyone, the same way college for everyone. So, I'm not an entrepreneur. Well, if you work any job now, you better think like an like an entrepreneur, because if you're not, having any kind of return on investment to your employer, then you're not going to be there too long. And I don't care what you do, you got to start thinking entrepreneurially, in any job now. It's critical.
So Kevin, tell us a little bit more about that pitch competition. And I'm sure that there are several, and people can get online, I'm sure, and Google pitch competition now. Now that they know that word and that terminology, whether they're interested in funding their small business or solo entrepreneurship, do you have to be a student to participate in that pitch competition at CSN or with CSN?
Well, there's two. There's one where you do, and there's one where you don't. And so the key thing is you can definitely I can put my email in the chat, or the best way you can send out to everybody, but let people, reach out to me. And, that's what I found out more and more. It's like it's very bimodal. There are people who they hear that and they really go hard. Then there are people who hear that and they think, well, I'm going to apply, and just because I show up, I should win something. Nah, it's a competition. But and it's fun. People who like to compete. I mean, but some people don't realize what competition means. Literally, this day and age, it's not about throwing something on social media and everybody go, oh, that's so lit, you're the best on the planet. No, you're competing with other people, as you got to stand and deliver. But it's fun for people who like that. But yeah, have them reach out to me. I don't know like which one can be for them. Because if you're a student, you can do both. You can do the ones for students and non-students. If you're not a student, then it's not too late. Sign up for one of my classes. I mean, CSN is rolling enrollment. I mean, it's worth it. Like Rhea's saying, it's always good to be in school. I would take any class. I mean, I'm a professor and I'm still trying to learn. I'm trying to learn the keyboard, right? So, you can always take classes and improve your life skills, like take a language, learn how to speak, a few words in Spanish or Cantonese, Mandarin. I mean, I try to use the languages that I'm familiar with all the time. And so you would definitely like being able to a few words in Tagalog that interact with the Filipino community. Definitely, I speak Spanish pretty much every day, but there's always things you can do at a college that can benefit you, in the long haul. And so it's important. So long answer. Yes, they can be student or non-student for the pitch competition. Feel free to give them my email and post it in the chat.
Absolutely. Lauren will post that in the chat for us. Tell us a little bit more about the courses that you instruct at CSN.
Excellent. So I mean, it runs the gamut. I mean, some are pretty intense in terms of some of the accounting classes. If you want to be an accountant and if you're good with numbers, that's fine too. Others are, business 101. Even if you're just going to be an employee and work at one of the gaming properties, how to navigate getting a job and maintaining employment. At CSN, we're fortunate because we can reverse engineer it a lot. So basically, I spend most of my time talking to successful millionaires, billionaires, big time entrepreneurs. And I asked them, what should I teach my students so you will hire them or they can be you? And so basically that's what I do. So I spend all summer long and, about my breaks, talking to people who are successful. Perfect example, I was talking to Kerry Bubolz recently, and he's the president of the Vegas Golden Knights. And so, I'll talk to him, and I'm working with members of his staff to create curriculum. And they'll actually, Darlene Navarro will actually be in my classroom on October 12th, representing the Vegas Golden Knights. She's in charge of hiring and HR and everything. But that lets me know what to teach my students. But there's that kind of networking. So when our students apply for a job with VGK, they can hopefully stand out because they can mention me as a reference, but B, they've already been immersed in the culture. They know, how the Vegas Golden Knights go to market. They know how they run the Dollar Loan Center. I mean, so all those aspects. So when I say I teach the whole nine, yes, I do teach the courses, accounting, marketing, business 101, all those I measure 201. But the main thing is I make my content relate to what is demanded in the current marketplace. So that's where we come from. So yes, I literally go out and talk to people. I remember when the Raiders first came and I got a chance to talk to Mark Davis. And so that was really good. He put me in touch with his chief of marketing. So then Brandon Dahl was in my class. Listen to what he's telling you. If you want to work in a marketing department for the Raiders, this is what you need to do. And so my students, their ears perk up, knowing that, I teach what people want. I don't teach what I feel like teaching.
Yeah. And I bet a lot of the skills in those courses cross over for when people are ready to transition from being an employee to a small business owner or entrepreneur, because chances are many small business owners, when they're just getting started, are the accountant. They are the marketing team. They are doing HR. And so I know that a lot of those skills are probably transferable as well, or going back, leaving the workforce and going on to become a business owner and entrepreneur. Ria, can you tell us a little bit about maybe how you work with students post-degree and finding funding to help to pay off some of that student loan debt if they weren't as fortunate to work with the scholarship doctor prior to getting in debt with student loans?
Yeah, again, just doing things like pitch competitions. I mean, you just heard Mr. Rayford to say, you don't even have to be in a business. I mean, $1,000 towards some type of bill could be helpful for practically anyone that I know, or if you want to use it in that spending or what have you. I mean, that's just incredible, right? So those are things that I do speak with business owners about who may have some debt due to a degree that they earned or maybe classes that they took. And I think it's a great way to have cash in reserve that you're not touching household budget or savings. But there are other things. There really are scholarships that are available to anyone. This, unfortunately, no, we're not going to say that, because I think, Janice, you and I even had this conversation. We're not late, we're a year early, right? So there is a scholarship competition that comes around every year. It is called Constituting America. It is due September 17th of every year. And they have scholarships for kindergarten through 12th grade. Then they have a division for those who are 25 and over. Then they have a division for undergraduate students and graduate students specifically. And they have a division for 65 and over. So if you don't fit one of those categories, I mean, basically it's just if you're not a baby. That's the only ones that they're not including. And how wonderful, they want to be very distinct, that you can be an adult, or you can be an undergraduate or graduate student, or you can be both. And I think that that is so incredible. And it ranges anywhere from $200 up to $5,000, and a full trip for you and a partner or a sibling or a parent or a whomever to go to Washington, D.C. 5 days. It ends up being something like a $10,000 to $15,000 trip. They pay for everything: flight, hotel, all the activities, food, anything outside of souvenirs are covered. And so when you can do that and be a regular everyday person, that's right, Constituting America, who would do that? So there's lots of opportunities. And we just have to, again, know the information, look, put ourselves out there. I do that. I apply for scholarships, although I'm not a student currently. And I had student loan debt. I mean, I was that person too. Even though I've earned $300,000 in scholarships, as I explained on my graduate degree, that's been the largest part of my funding. But I didn't know, I didn't have a scholarship doctor. So I was a true first generation college student. I made a ton of mistakes. So everything I teach my students, my scholars, we call them, and my clients were to avoid the things that my family and I did not know. But I've been able to use scholarships to pay back student loans. I loved what Mr. Rayford said, because I actually had a conversation with someone. He's interested in going to Georgetown Law or maybe Boyd Law. He served our country for years. He just finished his degree at Georgetown. He has 2 degrees from UNLV. And so we're having this conversation, and I'm telling him that I have so many scholars who come to me when they are working on another advanced degree who want to avoid debt. Thankfully, all of his degrees have been debt-free, especially because he was military, but now his GI has run out. So he is looking for additional funding. But I tell him, I have people who come to me beforehand because they want to avoid that. But there's also folks who come to me and say, I have made these, I don't want to say mistakes, just maybe didn't know. Some people think that's the only way you can go to college, right? And I'm here to educate, re-educate, and uneducate. I know it's not a word, it's a reanism, okay? And uneducate folk on the scholarship and debt process. But they're looking for those avenues, and they're totally 100% available. And he was just like shocked. So I said, you can start this as a pre-plan. Go ahead while you're taking LSAT and studying and deciding where you're going to apply. You can also be a part of that scholarship process. Now it's going to be bumped up once you're a student. But one thing he asked me is what Mr. Rayford mentioned. He's like, well, Rita, can I take a class or two? Yes, and guess what? That's going to make you a student. No one's saying that you have to be full-time, part-time. It doesn't always say that you have to be pursuing a 2 or 4 year degree. Maybe you've wanted to do something like he said. Have you been interested in learning about a new language or horticulture? Or maybe you've been doing something that you wanted to be able to fix your own vehicle or motorcycle. So there's certification programs. So when I say scholarship, and even if I'm saying college, it's how you are advancing yourself in education. And why not use all of these amazing resources who are out there? $50 billion, y'all, with a B. $50 billion in scholarships that are available every single year. Only $3 billion go claimed. Why not take your part of this $47 billion that just happens, whatever it happens? And I'm this person that's going around to organizations saying, I just found your scholarship. And they said, it was an international scholarship. Literally, these are real conversations, not a national scholarship. Anyone in the world could have applied for this scholarship. We've offered it for 5 years. We've had all of 5 candidates in that time. They said, we put too much time, energy, and effort, and we're not doing it. I have one company that's right here in Las Vegas that's had an international scholarship for years. I call him every year for the last 3 years saying, have you changed your mind? I promise you I'll get you students. And he's like, we're done. Let's not let that happen. Right. It's all available no matter where you are in your lifestyle, your life, your educational level, your age. It doesn't matter about income. This is what it is. Do not pre-qualify yourself on ethnicity, income, ability. None of those things matter. You can go to college, whatever that looks like, or expand your education for free, 100%.
Yeah, I think just hearing y'all talk is so empowering. It's so funny that every time we get on a roundtable and the different guests that we have, it really is about expanding our reach and expanding and kind of broadening our horizon and what is possible. And through hearing you guys talk, it's just about getting outside the box. And I feel like, and that comes to mind for me, because again, what I hear y'all saying is everybody has a story, right? Rhea, you were saying how with your family and you were a first, time college graduate, and everybody has a story, and everybody has a different money story and their history and, what they wanted to set out to do. But that we have to think outside the box and think of these different things that we can do. So specifically, because we are a healthcare roundtable and we like to talk about, our health businesses. And for me, a part of that story is I went through undergrad, nursing, got my BSN, then I went through a master's program and, became a nurse practitioner. And one of the reasons for not going on to, a terminal degree such as a PhD or a doctorate in nursing practice is money, because I am in student loan debt, right? And one, because I really just don't have the desire, but money is certainly one that comes up. But I think that listening to you talk and being in healthcare, there may be a lot of people that are listening. And obviously for me, I've always wanted to be a nurse, always knew I wanted to take care of people. And sometimes we do have to pivot, and we do have to think of other things that may make our businesses more marketable, such as learning different languages, getting more experience with different things. And for me, I was always kind of in my bubble. So I really wanted, so for the attendees that we have, I encourage you guys to ask questions. I don't see anything yet. Obviously, one just popped up. Yeah, so Brandon said he needs Ms. Ria's contact info, please. Yes, we will put it there. So thank you for that.
Now.
Yes, so I'm just
and,
really.
and to your point, Lauren, I want to just reaffirm too, because a lot of times people don't, feel comfortable sharing their situation. But for me, I was very fortunate. And so I had really good parents. My mom, what a blessing. My mother was the kind of person, I don't know how she did it, but, my mom and dad, raised 5 kids in inner city Pittsburgh. But I went, along with 2 of my older brothers, went to real expensive boarding schools. And so there's a program called the A Better Chance, and Oprah Winfrey's a big donor. But we were able to go from, our inner city. I didn't, we grew up in the hood, not gonna lie, but it's like I got to go to boarding school and my oldest brother, Milton, used to room with one of the Kennedys when he went to boarding school. So, but it's that exposure, the comfort zone, and that's really helpful. So when I say that, I'm fortunate I got to go to Ivy school, the whole 9, but it's because of scholarships. It's because, I went to boarding school, I was 13 years old. So when you say start early, it's big, because now I think that school might be over $100,000 a year. But it's one of the kind of things where I got scholarships and I was able to go. But the doors that it opens the doors that open are just so important now, because we do sometimes get into our own comfort zone. But that way, sometimes when you go to a business meeting and you turn up your food when something gets passed to you, all those little subtle things are the fact that you didn't educate yourself and you take advantage of scholarships. Because a lot of times too, it's not, like when I take my classes, everybody can learn the core competencies that I instill, but it's the nuances now that are really the order winners. The order qualifiers and their order winners. The order winners are how you can relate to all kind of people, like how you can feel comfortable in those environments. And so that's why I, definitely support what you're doing, scholarship doctor, because if it wasn't for those, that boarding school scholarship, I never knew where I would have went to college. A lot of people say, I'm gonna go to UNLV. UNLV's fine. But I was telling my niece, try to, poverty scholarships, we can go to London School of Economics for a year. Go to Australia. I'm fortunate, like a lot of my classmates, they travel and I've been able to get exposed to that. But a lot of these students, like they put shackles on themselves by not realizing that the world is a huge place. And my students are global. I teach them all the time. It sounds egotistical, but I yell at them. I'll say, I love you, but we want to be the best. And they're ready for, you're the best professor in Las Vegas. I'm like, please don't ever say that. That's an insult. And I jokingly, it's a blessing. But the goal I'm saying is that I just want to be the best for them. Because I got my students that are, in the military. So when they're in the Air Force Base, they'll take my class. Then they go to places where they're not allowed to tell me, and they're still taking my class on computer, right? And so it's important to realize that they're global. So right for what I learned in your class helped me when I was in Japan. It helped me when I was stationed in South Korea. So all those things really do matter. And so these international things, like, it's really huge. So definitely take advantage of scholarships, and always educate yourself. And then when they come back, from their missions, they invite me to know what's their first base. They get to go, on the base. They go to their first Friday events and stuff, and they go, this is my profession. But first of all, thank you for serving. I'm glad you made it back safely. And, it's like all those kind of connections that it's really important now. These scholarships aren't just money for college, but it's a bridge to the world. And you really have to be expanding yourself. It helps you mentally, physically, it fills you up. So I've been taking all these notes. I'll make sure that, my kids apply for some of that 47 billion. It's not being touched. They just say, okay, I raised my hand. But but we can all take advantage of that. So thank you for sharing. I'm learning a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. And, and if we could just reimagine and rethink this, when he just mentioned about being, you know, a global person, right? So my nephew is 7 years old. He's known as the traveling toddler. He just docked, even with pandemic, his 12th country, right, at 7. And he's also known as Super Justin. He says no one knows that, so we're not supposed to talk about that. But he is the youngest founder of a nonprofit organization in the state of Nevada, and probably really close to the country. He's been an entrepreneur, owned his own business since he was around 2.5 or 3 years old. And he applied for his first college scholarship when he was 4 months old. And last year, when the world opened up, my little nephew went back to Paris. He had already been, but he went back to Paris and visited family who lived there. And through his scholarship earnings, he paid for his own plane ticket. And it's amazing that the lineage and legacy that my sister and I have, and that our parents and grandparents have, is completely polar opposite than my nephew. He's been applying for scholarships since he was 4 months old. He will never know debt. He will be able to purchase homes, vehicles, make investments all through his scholarship journey. And he's already started that. He was in Times Square last year, talking about that he had just earned $25,000 in college scholarships at the age of 6. So when you have different ideas and thoughts and concepts, right? With Scholarship Solutions, we say it's all about education, exposure, and experience, is what we've been talking about on this wonderful panel. And again, if that is someone who is in medicine, or someone who's doing counseling or therapy, or whatever kind of healthcare that may be, physically, mentally, spiritually, there are some things that you deserve. And, if you can, again, make that way through scholarship, do it. It's not for the faint of heart. I don't want, Janice, I think that you can definitely contest to that. She won her first scholarship that she applied for with me, but how many drafts did we go through to get to this amazing picture of excellence? And it's competitive. Mr. Rayford has talked about this. This is not something where you can go and throw things in. I literally have gotten phone calls for a decade to say, and there's lots of things that are electronic, but scholarships are still kind of traditional. So they do paper and pencil, and I have literally had members of organizations say, who helped you with this? We want to know who made your application look like this. I've had students who on paper weren't the most qualified, but because everything was in excellence, literally a chairman told me we were obligated to give the scholarship to this student because we made it look like she was $1 million student, even though she was maybe more like $1,000 student, but she went to college debt free because of the effort, the energy, the absolute commitment to excellence. And again,
let me tell you, when you're working with the scholarship doctor, someone like Miss Rhea Watson, and that is the scholarship doctor you want to work with. I mean, when she pushed the button and said go, it was like go, right? Like I registered with the scholarship doctor. I got an email that said, okay, you need to start doing this, this, and this. And not even a week later, I received information about, okay, here's the first scholarship that you need to apply for. And guess what? It's Tuesday, it's due Friday. So go, the go button was on full set. And I banged out that essay. Miss Rhea reviewed my essay. And I remember the first part of the feedback that you had given to me was remove the that's, that. And I have kept that type of that. I have kept that input in my mind. And I notice how frequently I write that in there as just a filler word. Absolutely. And I can remove it, and it helps with the clarity of what I'm trying to communicate. And 100%. So it's not just getting access to the money, the funding, but it's also helping to clarify your essays. And I have used that essay over and over again various times for other scholarship applications and opportunities. So, I mean, you've got to be ready to go and put in the work as well. The scholarship doctor is not going to do it for you, but you will get closer to your goal by having someone to guide you through, for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because applying for scholarships is a transferable skill. And so I think that's something you should always do. I mean, like, one of my heroes, and I'll tell him often enough, is my older brother. And his birthday was September 25th, but he's a great guy. He retired in Las Vegas, but he still works, and out in the community. And he's an educator, a retired educator. But what impressed me the most is that he's a good writer and he always writes. And so if you go over his house, he's got this wall of response letters to his writing. So he just, where he writes all the time. So he goes, Kevin, I'm going to write, former President Michelle Obama, tell her how great her speech went. And they'll respond, which is funny. Like, he's got a wall of people responding. I'm like, Cornelius, I'm putting up Cornelius Rayford, but you go to the house. So even when they were showing the funeral for the Queen, Cornelius has his letters on letterhead from one Buckingham Palace for Prince Harry. Thank you so much for, telling me how much I'm congratulations on my wedding. But so he can sell these. He has these letters, and he's got the letterhead. He frames them. But if you write to almost anyone, they've got a publicist or whatever, or they might do it themselves. You'd be surprised how that's a good skill to have, to be able to write actual and essays and over again. Because if you write presidents and world leaders, somebody's going to respond, and if not them. But surprisingly, people just don't do that enough. But I'm sure if you sat there and wrote a nice letter to Oprah Winfrey, it would get to her, and she would say, thank you so much. This means a lot to me. How can I help you? It's like, so being able to apply these scholarships, informal and formal, is huge. And once you get in the mentality of writing and knowing that you put yourself forward first, it's critical. So thank you so much for sharing that. I learned a lot from that, Denise. But yeah, the scholarship preparation, it's a cross-functional skill that can easily be applied in life, period.
I love that. And just to mention with small businesses, because there are small business grants, right? A lot of people will come to me. I'm sure, Janice, you hear that all the time. I have a business. Can you help me with the grants? Most people don't know that majority of funding is available for nonprofit businesses, but there are surely grants for for-profit businesses. I've earned them. And not a ton of money, and there's normally these, parameters, but they do exist. And with that, I've been able to transfer my skills again from being a scholarship winner for years and years and years and years over to grants, and being able to use that creativity. We talk about the idea of community and making sure that you share that, making sure things are clear and there's clarity, and that there's elevated writing, taking words out like that, and making sure you're not using contractions. We don't do that anymore, really past 5th grade. Those kinds of things help with the essay process. And that's why my students win a lot, because when someone else is saying isn't, they're saying is not. So just a little nugget. So y'all go ahead and take that, because only people pay me for that, okay? But the other thing is, I have this journal, right? And it includes the 5 top scholarship essays like ever in the whole world. All my books are available on my website or through Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But what Janice mentioned was she has been able to use her essay over and over again. That is so empowering, right? And so I have to teach people that scholarships, and I know this is, again, not grammatically correct, but scholarships is not school. Scholarships are not school, okay? They're not. So you may have a class or college that you have this paper for history, and you can't use it in statistics because that's plagiarism, right? But it doesn't work that way in the scholarship game. In fact, it is expected that you will write a great essay that's winning and use that over and over and over again. So we like to say that we're environmentalists with scholarship solutions. You can recycle, reduce, and reuse all the time. And these 5 essays are the one, these topics. And so we wrote a book on that so that people can know what they should be looking for, write about it. If they're, if we're blessed and privileged to work with them, and then edit those essays. We don't write essays. We don't write them. Ms. Janice said it. We did not do the work for you. We will do it with you, but we did not do it for you. with my business. It's completely unethical for us to write essays. And even though my baby, my 7-year-old nephew, he does the work, his parents do the work. I will help them, but I don't do it for them, no matter who they are, no matter how close they are. He's like my son, but this is his life and his scholarship journey. And we'll be blessed to help with it, anyone and everyone.
And
but to
definitely
think
to your
about
point,
that, a transferable skill, right? To think about that you can write 5 essays and live your scholarship life. I have students, I have a student right now who's at Howard Medical, was blessed to work with her as a gap year student, going from her high school diploma into undergrad, her full medical school, everything. We were featured in Black Enterprise magazine because of her. She's won $2.5 million in scholarships. But the same scholarship, the very first one she won from a gap year student in high school, is the same thing that she's been using, including her avenue and debt freedom to Howard Medical.
and to your point, I'm saying is everybody needs you. And so that's what I wanted to, before I forget, that may not know, but the key I'm saying is that I encourage even all my businesses. You said not every business is nonprofit, but the key thing is every for-profit business should have a nonprofit component. That's where you get the money from. And so everybody needs you, because if you look at companies like Southwest Airlines, people know about how they fly kids around, or McDonald's Corporation, the Ronald McDonald House. We have a company that I helped to start, and they're doing really well, New Life Kicks, and they have sneaker restoration. And so they fix sneakers for everybody. And so what they've been able to do is grow internationally. They got, a business now all over the planet, but it's called New Life Kick, started here in Las Vegas. I was able to teach them. They're great. They won a pitch competition, got more money. But also too, I'm saying is that they started their own nonprofit called Souls for Souls. And so they'll take old sneakers, fix them up, and give them to people. When Nike saw them doing that, then Nike said, let me partner with you. So always have a nonprofit component. That's where the more profits come. So everybody needs to help. I think that's all my businesses. You can do well by doing good, right? Like Tom's, right? So if you want to do well, you better do good works. So, I'm like you, I speak the grammar. I get the grammar, I'm legal, but do well by doing good. I could say you could do good by doing good, but ain't that one. But your business will do well if you do good. But
so,
help
Mr.
people.
Rayford, are there at CSN, are there any courses or classes or anything geared toward entrepreneurs who need kind of like guidance on the nonprofit route? Because that's also something that I feel is kind of not taboo, but you don't know where to start. You just kind of
It is. And there's a lot. So best if you just email me and I can see you in the right direction. But even nonprofits, it's sort of like a misnomer. Nonprofits have got to be profitable. So when you talk to, the Elaine Wins of the world, they want to make sure your nonprofit is sustainable. So better be careful. But I tell my nonprofits, you got to make it sure that, you can pay your staff, always be able to be in the community, always be able to network, always be able to give back. Because the more you do, the better you're going to be. It's like that saying we hear all the time, if you ask for money, you get advice. If you ask for advice, you get money. So the key thing is that if you can listen and, be a nonprofit, but find out what the community needs are, then you're going to get money, but you also want to be sustainable. But that's what's really, important.
Sure. And I had one question, just going back. I want to go back to what you mentioned about having some of your students that were in the service, and they were, out in the field, and they were away, and they were still taking your classes online. So when I think about taking another course, right, I'm in the clinic, I'm in my business, we're at a point, I'm a solopreneur. So a lot of times I'm working on and in the business. I have a family, that I'm taking care of. So the question that popped up for me was, it was somebody in my situation, right? Or just, my lifestyle and how things are. And I do want to look into taking these classes and courses. Are most of the classes that may be geared towards entrepreneurs, they have a component where I can join online after hours?
Well, the key thing is, here's a challenge, and something where, like Rhea's phenomenal, but do your research. Like, you can go and look at a course, and I'm not gonna lie, not everybody's good at their job. So they might say this is an entrepreneurship course, but it'd be crappy. For better or worse, now I gotta embrace it. Look at the reviews. You can go and read my professor, it'll tell you whether they're delivering on their brand. A restaurant will say we have the best food in the world. You get there, girl, that was whack. Young people say whack anymore, but where it's not lit, whatever young people say. But what I don't say is that, so do your research and talk to the actual people, because you can hang out a shingle. I'm sure a lot of people say they're helping with scholarships, but they're not Rhea. And so the key thing I'm saying is that it's important, to do that kind of like that kind of research. Like I started my company, I'm a business owner myself, and my business partners, we met like the first day of college. And so we started our company, but we've been friends ever since we were 17. But yeah, so now like we've got a company that's still growing. We pivoted during COVID. And so our business actually grew during COVID when we thought it was going to shut down. So things, but the key thing is like the answer to your question is yes. But even I talk to certain students, they'll go, yeah, I like this class, or this person said they're going to teach this, but it was nothing like their syllabus. So I got to be honest, do your research, because there's a lot of money out there for people who are teaching, but not everybody is in there for the right reasons. So, it's like, it's like going to a church. You got to make sure it's spirit filled. You can't just walk in here thinking everything is going to be all rosy. We want any organization I put out there. I talk to my pastors, they know I am, shout out to Victory, how that goes. But it's like, it's one of the things where it is what it is. So definitely do your research, but I can steer you to those classes, steer you to the professors. Because like I like to brag sometimes and say, I get about 110% attendance. So people sitting on my class that aren't in my class, and they'll bring their aunts, their uncles, their friends, and I'm like, that's fine. So just be around good people and be around that environment. And that way you can steer itself. Because a class that says we're going to walk you through the business plan may not even deliver on that. So you got to be careful.
Got it. That's really good advice. I feel like for anything in business, right? That's good advice. And I would agree. You're absolutely right. We have a question that came in. This is from, I think, RNA. Hopefully I got that right. She says, burnout and retirements in healthcare professions have surged since COVID started. What suggestions or resources do you have to help guide students to careers in healthcare? So I would say, and I'm just speaking because I'm in healthcare, I would say, just because we just talked about this, is to do your research. What do you want to do in healthcare? We have two other our committee members and our other co-hosts, Dinesha Mingo and Elisa Howard. They both are in healthcare as well, but Dinesha Mingo is the CEO of Mingo Health Solutions, which is a mental health organization. And she also has a nonprofit, like we were talking about, Solutions of Change, for which Janice is you are the
fiscal program manager.
Yes. So Janice is helping to run that organization now. And so, right, that's one area of healthcare. Elisa Howard, she has her business, Minority Health Consultant. She is a community health worker. So that's another part. So it's not always, a nurse, a doctor, a lab tech, a rad tech, right? There's so many different things. If you are a current student, obviously I would say talk to those counselors who may be there at the school, because they can tell you, logistically and realistically where you are in terms of prerequisites and what courses you may want to take. But like I said, I've known that I wanted to be a nurse for forever. I wanted to be either a nurse or a singer. Okay. And so it's in me, and that's what I wanted to do. So I don't want anyone, even though, there's a shortage and we have needs, I don't want anyone going into the profession because you feel like, there's the need and you want to fill it. Really, really just see if that's something that you want to do. And that would be the best advice, and then go from there.
Yeah, I would say there's volunteer in the capacity in which you think that you might want to build a secondary career and or a lifelong career, because you need to know if this is something that you want to do, especially if you are now making a midlife career change. You want to know that this is something that you are going to enjoy, that feeds both you spiritually, emotionally, financially, in many different ways and capacities, because you can burn out in the healthcare field, as we have seen during COVID. You can burn out in any field, I'm sure. But I think that Mr. Rayford can give us some other ideas and thoughts about how people might want to enter the healthcare field.
Well, I'll say exactly. And you guys hit on the head. Just to shadow people, to get involved. I mean, just walk into places and, ask them, can you help? And know like the whole value chain of it. So there's so many places, like people want to go into sports. You don't have to be a player. There's a myriad of jobs that are surrounding the whole sports environment. Just get it into the field and then learn like what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Find somebody who was successful and then go that way. Because I'm saying is that, especially in any profession now, you just have to think so globally. Because I had one of my students who, he just got back from Dubai. And I taught him, really nice kid. I call him a kid, but he didn't like really nice. We got back from Dubai and he's working on a deal because he'd meet people in Dubai. And one of the other people he's collaborating with, they're from Kazakhstan. But the bottom I'm saying is that every professional is so global that you can go into the medical field, but still be able to have to interact with people. You can do online medical field activities. So the key thing is to make sure you're competitive, because they can hire somebody to work online from Mexico or Nigeria. They don't have to hire you because you're around the corner in Las Vegas. So make sure, even if you're applying for a job in Las Vegas and a company is in Las Vegas, they can hire somebody who's in Melbourne, Australia and do it online. So key thing is that make sure you just go and learn how to get into that industry and shadow and be good, but learn the whole overall activities. And I just think that, well, I know what I want to do. I read this one article, and now I'm going to be the best medical provider.
And if I can contribute and maybe a little bit more from a traditional standpoint. So if you have a middle school scholar or high school scholar in the Valley and across the nation, we have these magnet schools, right, that provide students with early exposure to a healthcare program so they can find out, is this something that I really want to do? And they can really get exposure to that through the educational process. Another thing, if there's someone that's secure, and maybe again, you have a senior in high school and he or she is going to start college soon and they're interested in medicine. Two things that we like are dual degree programs. So how can we get through this process as soon as possible? So looking for institutions where you can earn a bachelor's and a whatever together. It saves time, energy, effort, and money when people do that. So that's one thing. And what I'm always telling my students who are really interested in going into medicine, specifically if they want to be a physician, when they're an undergraduate student, their major should look like something that says neuro something or bio something. So what am I saying? Biochemistry, right? It's going to make your application stand out. They're going to see that you're not afraid of hard work. Again, if someone's doing a neuroscience, a neuropsychology, so if they have a neuro STEM or a bio STEM, or I guess prefix, and then you can add whatever other STEM that you want to that. But it will help you in your training process. It will help you get prepared for medical school, and it will 100% again make you stand out, because people don't work with someone like me. So what is the most major you think that lawyers and doctors are doing, right? They're entering pre-law programs and pre-med programs, and they are, so every student's going to have that. Pre-med, 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 pre-med. When you come in with biostatistics, it's like, wait, what, right? You immediately stand out. They're almost obligated to at least interview you because you're not pre-med biology. And I know I said a bio something. Biology isn't horrible, but when you can have that as almost an adjective, a prefix versus just the standard, you'll help yourself to have a career in healthcare.
That's, as they say, the sauce. She's dropping gems. So, we pay for this. So thank you, scholarship doctor, because I already know. I feel like we're getting a little inside, little nuggets now. So thank you. So the time is now 11:59. We appreciate the scholarship doctor, Ms. Ria, and Mr. Rafer from CSN for coming on with us. And we respect and appreciate all of you who are watching. Thank you for your questions. I just want to have Mr. Rafer and Ms. Ria to be able to, for anyone who's listening and can't look at the chat, if you can just quickly give us the way for all of our participants to contact you and any last nuggets.
For me, I just, just start now. I mean, and she means everything. I know I went to school with some doctors, and they're doctors now, but I remember like one of my favorite classmates, he came to school driving one of the nicest cars. He was a 17-year-old kid from West Virginia, but he had so many scholarships because he's going to pre-med that they bought him an Acura Legend. I'm like, oh my goodness. So apply for scholarships, everybody. She means what she says, do it. And now we've got the top open heart surgeons in the state of West Virginia. You go get Dr. Jeffrey Cousins with my frat brothers, AFIA, all good.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, this is just, y'all don't even understand. It's like the scholarship magic. I know we got to go. Anyway, but apply for scholarships. Hey, apply for scholarships. You need to. You want to follow me everywhere. You can find me at Scholarship DR. But let me give you guys some quick nuggets, honestly. Firstly, if you have a high school junior or you know anyone who has a high school junior, please have them take the PSAT on October 12th. They need to send an email today to counselor, parents, grandparents, godparents, aunts, uncles, whomever you are, please. The PSAT is a scholarship exam, 250 colleges across the nation, completely free of charge. It is a one and done. They only get this opportunity junior year, never, ever again. Secondly, October 1 is FAFSA Day. I don't care how much money you make. If you are eligible for FAFSA, FAF as in Frank, SA, if you are eligible, you should apply. If you're not eligible, just try. Don't pre-qualify yourself. So if you don't get anything else out of this, apply for FAFSA October 1. Doesn't matter how much money you make or not. Have your students, whoever they are, neighbors, enemies, just let them know. PSAT is the way to go. Do that. And again, follow me everywhere. Clubhouse, TikTok, Instagram. Scholarship Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lauren, that's how we think alike. We're typing the same stuff in the chat at the same time. October 1 for the FAFSA. And hello, our FIA brother. We didn't know you have two deltas on this chat with you right now, myself and Lauren.
That's
My mom's a
right.
Delta and my godmother, so you got me.
All right.
Yes, in great company.
Yes. So we want to thank you guys so much for being here as our wonderful guests. We appreciate you. We look forward to interacting with you in the community as well. I'm sure that we'll see. Rhea, we haven't seen each other in a while, so we may be overdue for a lunch date or something like that. Kevin, I'm going to have to come on over to CSN and connect with you as
Please
well, and the folks in your department. And then Lauren, you're invited to come out to lunch with Rhea and I.
Text me.
Kevin,
Text
you
me,
too.
I'll be
You
there.
come on over as well. So this is Janice Wiggins and Lauren Parker signing off. We are 2/4 of your co-hosts here with the Urban Chambers Healthcare Roundtable. We thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again with different co-hosts, Miss Elisa Howard and Denisha Mingo next month. Different guests, different topics. So you guys go over to the Facebook page for the Urban Chamber so that you can get and like that page so that you can begin to receive information and notifications about upcoming healthcare roundtable, our topics, as well as our guest dates and times. It's always the last Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. So thank you so much. We'll be in touch and see you guys soon.
Thank
Bless you
you.
guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank y'all so much.